This anime is about the Red Ranger who ends up going one-on-one with his final enemy, but then he mysteriously vanishes from his world and transferred to an isekai. The story begins with the townspeople freaking out and scared, because a massive army of monsters looks like it's about to wreck their city. In the midst of all the despair, the light of the Power Rangers still shines bright in the darkness. Their team is called Kizuna Kaiser Maximum, and they have this formation that turns into a giant robot. Once they form up, the Rangers look ready to use the Kizuna sword to fight the final boss, Red Skull. But after landing a hit on the enemy, they get caught in a counterattack that leaves them unable to keep fighting. So Red, the strongest among them, has to go on alone without Kizuna Kaiser's help. When he reaches the Throne of Destruction, the monster boss just laughs at Red for coming alone, even though he's always going on about bonds and stuff. Like any main character, the hopes of his friends and everyone else become his strength. Red attacks with everything he's got, but he still gets hit. As he's falling, he feels grateful for passing on his strong hopes for the future to everyone in the world. While Red is reminiscing about all his memories, he wishes he could be with his friends a little longer. But when he snaps out of his past memories, he finds himself in an unfamiliar place. 6 months later, at a former noble's residence, there's a test happening to find competent adventurers for a specific mission. Yidra Arvon is the name of the wizard and master of the golem. After trashing 2 adventurers who are too weak and useless, Arvon orders the golem to kick them out. It's known that her father was a former royal member in the past, and as his daughter, Arvon intends to restore their family's glory. The old assistant, Poseidon, then tells Arvon there's one more adventurer recommended directly by the adventurers group. At first, Arvon thinks this adventurer can't be any different from the previous 2, but didn't realize the said adventurer is already facing the golem in the front yard. Simultaneously, Poseidon reassures her that this last adventurer has an excellent reputation and is on the rise. Unexpectedly, the golem attacks the guy and makes a hole in the wall. He tells Arvon that the golem will kidnap someone, but Arvon explains that the golem is for the test. The guy is shocked but keeps fighting. From his actions, it's clear this must be the last adventurer Poseidon mentioned. Feeling warmed up, the guy, who is none other than the Red Ranger, looks ready to use a hand sign to signal he's getting serious. The man named Tugo then transforms into the Red Ranger. Even Arvon is puzzled by the Power Rangers' antics when they transform. But then she gets even more confused since the device Red just used isn't a magical tool because it doesn't contain any mana. So what's the deal with the explosions? As a mage and researcher, Arvon tries to stay calm, intending to observe and analyze what's happening. And obviously the golem is no match for our beloved Ranger. So many questions leave Arvon totally puzzled. She can only watch in silence as Red, so strong, passes the test. Red Ranger then introduces himself as Tugo, an adventurer everyone calls Red. Arvon gets even more confused when Red mentions he's from another world called Earth. Considering what just happened, Arvon can't help but believe him, especially since there are many ancient documents talking about otherworldly beings, even though they're rarely seen. Curious about how Red's costume works, Arvon asks for an explanation. Instead of explaining, Red gets surprised because in his world, Power Rangers are so popular that everyone knows how their suits work. Not wanting to overthink it, Arvon dives into the main topic. They need Red to gather some mana metal from the Wackenart ruins. Mana metal is newly discovered, thought to be crystallized mana leakages that caused explosions underground. When Red doesn't understand, Arvon explains that they need it for her research to get the details. Without wasting time, Red heads off to the Wackenart ruins. He uses his transport device called Turbo Huddle, which seems extreme to Arvon. Worse, while Arvon complains and asks for explanations about Red's gadgets, Red grabs her and takes off without permission. Talk about seizing opportunities. When they arrive, Red thanks their quick trip for avoiding monsters. Arvon points out they did face monsters, but Red's Turbo Huddle knocked them down instantly. Without listening, Red heads straight in. Arvon uses her special move to defeat one monster, while Red wipes out countless monsters with various moves and techniques. Arvon gets annoyed by Red's noisy, toy-like gadgets that blow up monsters, making it impossible to collect monster remnants. Hearing Red call medium-class monsters small fries, Arvoln gets curious about the kinds of monsters Red fought in his world. Red explains his enemies on Earth were a secret organization called Zetu Enderl, which gave Rangers a hard time. 6 months have passed since he first arrived in this world, and he hopes the other Rangers are okay without him. Arvoln asks why Red isn't trying to return home. Red admits he searched at first, but along the way he realized this world wasn't much different from his old one. So, instead of just finding a way back, he decided to help people here and figure out why he was summoned. After his story, Red convinces Arvoln to share her dream, even though she's reluctant. Moved by Red's enthusiasm, she tells him she wants to restore her family to their former glory as royal rod bearers, a title given to the great mages overseeing all research under the kingdom's orders. Her family held this duty for generations, always using it for everyone's good. But 10 years ago, her father was defeated by a mysterious mage, and they were kicked out of the capital, becoming fallen nobles. Arvoln knows the current royal rod uses all resources for self-gain, ignoring public welfare. That's why she's determined to reclaim the position and fulfill her father's dream of ending people's suffering. Instead of laughing, Red admires her grand dream. Soon, they see mana metal piled up differently from how Red imagined. Arvoln suspects it's been placed there intentionally, unlike the usual fountain-like drips. Suddenly, a dragon attacks Red from behind. Arvoln guesses it's an ancient dragon residing there, possibly responsible for the adventurer's deaths. Ignoring his injuries, Red looks ready to transform and face it. Worried, Arvoln wants to head back and forget the mana metal, but Red insists, inspired by Arvoln's big dream to bring happiness to everyone. In his usual rash way, Red transforms right beside Arvoln, causing an explosion that throws her aside. Just after saying he'd protect her, he nearly gets her killed. After dodging the dragon's opening attack, Red plans to use his secret weapon but needs the power of bonds to activate it. Seeing Red considers her a comrade, Arvoln decides to trust him despite her doubts. Red transforms into a robot ranger. At first, the robot ranger struggles due to a lack of bonded strength. But when Red embraces Arvoln, making her blush, they manage to prove the power of their bond and defeat the ugly monster. A few days later, while Red checks out quests at the guild, Arvoln approaches him, wanting to become an adventurer too. Bashfully, she asks to join Red, claiming she wants to research his powers. Maybe combining advanced technology and magic could create new spells, like a portal linking two worlds. If she can create such magic, reclaiming the royal rod won't be just a dream. Hearing this, Red feels happy, thinking he's destined to meet Arvoln in this world. Arvoln's face turns as red as his costume after hearing his words. Thanks for hanging out with us on Ani Tales. Remember to hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe if you had a good time. Catch you in the next story. Peace out!